In this video, I want to talk about data integrity, and we're going to break down the different types of data integrity that are necessary to have a good, well-functioning database. And then in the next videos, we're going to go through how to create the things that help enforce the integrity of our database to keep our data consistent. The idea of data integrity is that our data that we're saving is correct and it's consistent. We don't have conflicting information anywhere in our database, and that everything in our database is unique. We talked about that idea that when we talked about normalization, that we don't want to have duplicate info stored in our database, both because we don't want to use the storage, but also because if we have duplicate data, then we have to change it in more than one spot when something needs changed. And the idea that all rows have to be unique, that's important to this as well. We can't have any duplicate rows, because if we have a duplicate row, we don't know which row to pull out. So every row has to be unique. So let's first talk about a little bit more about that and talk about entity integrity. Okay, so entity integrity is the idea that every table has to have a primary key, and that column or columns, if we use two columns for the primary key, they should be unique, meaning there shouldn't be any matches, and they should never be allowed to be null. So unique and not null. The primary key, the idea of making it unique and not null, every row has to have it, and no row can have the same key, ensures that we have entity integrity. We never have rows with the exact same information. Even if all the other columns are the same, we're guaranteed that the primary key makes the row unique. Okay. So our entity integrity is enforced by using a primary key. Referential integrity is the next thing we want to talk about. So referential integrity tells us that foreign key values refer to a primary key. In most cases, it's a primary key. In some other table of the database. Okay. So for example, we've seen foreign keys with employee and department. We come back to that classic example. We don't want to put a foreign key in for somebody that doesn't have a matching department. So we don't want to put department 17 if there's not a department 17 in the departments table. Okay, so if the database would allow us to do that, we wouldn't have referential integrity. We would try to join data, and we wouldn't get things that should have matches. If our business rule says every employee has to be in a department, then it has to be a valid department. So we enforce that idea with foreign key constraints, and we're going to learn how to make those. So we're going to learn how to do make primary keys for entity integrity. We're going to learn how to make foreign keys for referential integrity. The next type of integrity we're going to talk about is domain integrity, sometimes called column integrity. And that's the idea that every column needs to have a data type. Okay, so a domain is a set of values that all come from the same type. So we're going to look at, when we create our tables, creating our tables and specifying the data type for each column. And specifying that data type and not allowing, if it's a numeric data type, people can't stick words in there, so our mathematical functions won't fail when we try and run them. So that's important. And then the last type of integrity we're going to talk about is user-defined integrity. And my faces are getting... What's user-defined integrity? Well, we talked about business rules that we couldn't really model when we were doing entity relationship diagrams, and we said, well, there's certain things that you can't model, but you might have to program them in some other way. User-defined integrity is that set of rules specified by us. Okay, they don't belong. They don't have anything to do with domain integrity or referential integrity or entity integrity, but they do have something to do with the integrity of our data to make sure it meets the business rules of the business. So we can create our own user-defined rules and constraints for our data to make sure that we're following the integrity that we need for our business model. So those are the different kinds of integrity. We're going to start in a video or two here. We're going to start to create tables. And when we create tables, first we're going to learn how to create the table and specify its columns. That will ensure our domain integrity. And then I will show you how to add primary keys to it. And then later on, we'll learn how to make foreign keys so we can do referential integrity. And then we'll learn how to set our own user-defined constraints.